Hey, it's 11:40 The Bet and Audacy Sports, and our WNBA free agency coverage continues with, in my humble opinion, one of the best in the biz, creator and founder of Girls Talk Sports TV, WNBA Insider, MSG Networks, a woman that is extremely busy and is making time for us, Khristina Williams. Khristina, I know free agency is going on. Are you getting 6 hours of sleep? How are you? How's the work schedule? How hectic is it?
Well, I'm a little under the weather today because it's freezing on the East Coast, but yeah, it's been a pretty busy week.
And look, before we get into the WNBA stuff, there's a lot going on in the world in general. Of course, the Super Bowl is going to be next weekend. I do need to ask you, how excited are you for Rihanna and the halftime show? And are you expecting her to release a new album after the halftime show since it's been years?
Well, it's super exciting that there's a football game happening at the Rihanna concert. But I
Excuse me,
mean,
you're right.
who
Excuse me.
who wouldn't like her to drop a new album? I know she just released a new single with the second Wakanda film that came out. So we always love, whenever Riri drops new music.
And I do want to ask you one more thing before we get into the serious basketball stuff, especially here in Las Vegas. I need you to help settle an argument, and I already feel like you're going to be on the mother of my child's side. But here we go. Beyonce is going on tour. Pre-sale tickets have gone on sale. It's thousands to even like if you want good seats to sit on the floor, you're not paying your rent that month, basically. So tickets are super expensive. So she came up to me and said, "Hey, look." Instead of me spending $1,200 for some tickets here in Vegas, I could go to Paris and pay $200, $300 for some good seats and then pay $600 or $700 for a ticket to go over there. I think that's kind of crazy, but is she right financially?
Listen, I think she's right because you get two for one. You get a vacation in Paris and you get to see Beyonce. I think it's a great idea.
I knew you were going to be on their side. And let's get straight into all the free agency stuff. Well, actually, I guess let's start off with the trade because of course here in Las Vegas, what kind of kicked off everything was a core piece of the Aces leaving and being traded to LA, which of course is De'Erica Hamby. And obviously this situation as it stands is super complex. It's not just an on the court basketball thing right now. It's much bigger than that. But just in general, and with everything that's happened and her being introduced with the Sparks and things of that nature, what do you make of the whole situation?
I mean, it's definitely alarming whenever claims like that is made, especially in a women's sports league. And so, yeah, it definitely raised some flags, and it brought out, bigger conversations surrounding like labor laws and women, right? And so, my heart goes out to De'Erica. No one should ever have to go through that. But I love how the Players Association immediately stepped up once she released a statement about what she had experienced. And they're launching an investigation right now on those claims that she was discriminated against due to being pregnant. And so, I can't wait to see the end results of the investigation. But she has the support of everyone. Her new head coach this week in her introductory press conference, Kurt Miller, he released a statement and he said supportive is the big word for De'Erica. His track record in Connecticut was very important in terms of making sure families felt supported. And so I love that the new organization that she's with, they have her back through and through, and that they're really supporting her and showing her that love. And De'Erica said in her introductory presser this week that Nneka Ogwumike played a big factor in her wanting to sign to Los Angeles. And we know Nneka is the president of the WNBPA. So knowing that she has that support from the union as well, it means a lot.
And just for clarification, or for those that aren't checking in every day, whatever happens with this investigation and how this plays out, like this is it fair to say that this is going to set a precedent outside of the WNBA?
Oh, it's definitely going to set a precedent. Like I said, in terms of women and labor laws, like that is the bigger conversation between all of this. I think one important factor that's getting dismissed in this entire conversation is that in De'Erica's initial statement that she released when the trade happened, she said, I understand trades are a part of the business. So it's not the trade per se that is being investigated. It's the claims of how those things transpired that led up to it. And so I think that people should keep all of that in mind because no one should be mistreated at all,
And before
especially in the workplace.
No, 100%. And from the Aces side, and my last question about this particular situation, are you surprised that there hasn't even been a statement released? Do you think this is a situation that they're not going to say anything in specific to Dearica Hamby's situation until this investigation is over? But are you surprised that they haven't said anything so far?
I mean, there is an investigation that is currently happening, so it does not surprise me that they haven't made a statement because I think that they want to wait until the investigation is concluded before they make a statement. Yeah, it's shocking because she's one of the longest tenured players to play for the organization. She spent 8 years there, so immediately people want to hear from the front office on these claims and hear what they have to say. But you know, they're a business and they're going to wait for the investigation to conclude, which makes sense from a business perspective, obviously, that they haven't said anything yet. But yeah, everyone is on edge just waiting to see.
So moving on from off the court stuff with the Aces to all the things that they've done in free agency that's going to affect this team here in the future. CP3, Alicia Clark, other pickups. Basically, I'm calling them Super Team 1 here in Las Vegas. Everyone's excited. Everyone on the strips just screaming Aces in 3. So for you, with this roster that's being assembled here in Las Vegas, what are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is that the Aces definitely pulled off a robbery in free agency with the players that they acquired in the off season. They're so last season, a lot of people was talking about the lack of depth on the Aces bench, right? And so I think that with the new signings like Alicia Clark, Kayla George, who is a four-time WNBL champion, they addressed those issues, right? They added players who could add that depth to the roster. First and foremost, they have 4 players who signed extensions, and so you have Chelsea, Jackie, Kelsey, and Asia all coming back from last season, and then you add someone like Candace Parker. I feel like Candace won't have to do much with such a talented team that she's already a part of. She can just kind of fill in the gaps where it need be. I think it's going to be super exciting to see her pair up with Asia. And Asia is a player who has praised Candace throughout her career. And so it's going to be really exciting to see them play together as well.
So from Super Team 1 here in Las Vegas, let's go to the other side of the country to the East Coast for Super Team 2. Of course, talking about the New York Liberty, Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Courtney Vandersloot, the roster they already have. I haven't even brought up Hanchu's name. She's on the bench, future of the league. This is crazy. This is Cavs and Warriors vibes. But I want to know, number one, are you surprised Brianna leaves Seattle, kind of breaks Seattle's heart? And number two, what are your thoughts on this roster that's being assembled in New York?
I don't think that it's a surprise that Stewie decided to come to New York. This is a decision, a process rather, that has been 13 months in the making in terms of her getting to New York. We know that last year the New York Liberty met with Stewie, but she signed with Seattle last year for Sue Bird's final year. And so I feel like she's done everything that she possibly could have with Seattle, and now it's time for a new chapter in New York. How do I see her fitting in with the Liberty? Well, she's a player that is very versatile and has a high basketball IQ. So I think that she could fit any roster. But this roster is going to be special because she's teaming up with 2021 MVP Jonquel Jones. She's teaming up with Sabrina Ionescu. So they are the new big 3. And then you have other players surrounding like Kayla Thornton, Banaja Laney, Maureen Johannes, Han Shu. We know that Sammy Whitcomb today, she signed with the Seattle Storm. But the Liberty, they have that depth. And I know coming into this free agency that they said, we're not a rebuild team right now. We are in a win now era. And, you've seen that transition happen in the last few seasons. They've transitioned to hiring new coach, Sandy Brondello, right, who is a championship-minded coach and just making the necessary roster changes to put New York in the position to be a contender for a title.
And you bring up that philosophy or that thought that the Liberty are like, we're not in a rebuild mode. Josiah and his family have really invested not only in the Nets, but obviously in the Liberty with what's happened. And you
Mhm.
look here in Las Vegas with Mark Davis. all the resources he put into the team from last year and getting Becky to come, the basketball headquarters being built right next to the Raiders in Henderson here in Las Vegas, and you really see the investment, the care to win in this league from these two new owners in this league. That dynamic and that quality and kind of setting the tone, or is it, or I guess my question is, sorry to be rambling, but are they setting a new tone for the league coming in and being like, hey, we want to win and we're going to put the pieces around us and do what we need to do to win at a high level in this league?
Yeah, I think that it's great. A lot of these owners are setting the tone in terms of how they should invest into the teams and players. We're seeing something very special happen in this free agency. I think that it's very pivotal, that players are beginning to control their own narratives. I think both sides have to be bought into what the organizations want to do. A lot of these star players have or are going to take pay cuts in order to make it work. So it becomes less about the money and more about growing the game in that sense. And, I think that these players see the bigger vision for what the WNBA is going to be. And especially as we talk about that new media rights deal that's coming up in a few years.
And you talk about that momentum heading into those new media rights. Um, the buzzword, the conversation point of this offseason of this free agency is that we are now in the super team era. Now, I haven't been a part of this league or covered this league nearly as long as many others. But to me, from my perspective, I think this is awesome. I think this is great. I said it earlier. This is Cavs Warriors, some of the best basketball we're ever going to see. I don't care men's or women's. This is going to be phenomenal if this collision course of New York and Las Vegas eventually ends up happening. But there's also a different side of someone not like me here in Vegas. It's easy for me to say, this is awesome. What are you guys complaining about? But for the rest of this league, look at Chicago fans now, look at Seattle fans. They're like Will Smith and Fresh Prince. There's no one here no more in the living room. Like, is this new dynamic in the super team era good for the league, in your opinion?
I mean, the WNBA boasts the top 1% athletes in the world. So, yeah, there are super teams that are being paired up right now, and it is what it is. But I think that this is good in terms of bringing more eyes on the game. And just this week, we've seen Kevin Durant, advocate for Stewie to come to New York. John Morant, just keeping eyes on the game. Kevin Garnett even made comments on it. So, keeping the conversation going. As you said earlier, keep building on the momentum that is already there. This is a great product. And so rivalries will be good for the league in terms of building that fan engagement and also getting new fans interested into the game as well.
Absolutely. And Khristina Williams joining us here on 1140 The Bet and Audacy Sports. Two more questions before you can check your phone. We appreciate you because I know you're getting texts with everything going on in the thick of free agency. We speak on the two super teams, but I want to know from your point of view with some of the other transactions and trades that have happened. Who is a sleeper team in the league right now that you're like, I like what they're doing and the pickups they're making?
Yeah, right now I think that Los Angeles Sparks could be considered a sleeper team. I think that people forget that they have added some great players to their roster, and also they have future draft picks to continue to build on that as well. They added De'Erica Hamby, Jasmine Thomas, Stephanie Talbot, Lexi Brown re-signed as well recently. So I know Kurt Miller said in the press conference that they wanted to address the lack of 3-point shooting. Nneka Ogwumike is expected to re-sign as well. And so just surrounding her around players that can help space the floor and get shots up while she dominates at the paint. I think that is great that Miller and Karen Bryant as the GM is addressing that in this free agency period. The Los Angeles Sparks, they have experienced players. It's not like they have a bunch of bums. Like, no, they have experienced players. And so I definitely think that they are the sleeper team that people should watch out for.
And our last question, I don't even know if it's possible, to be quite honest with you, Khristina, but with free agency still going on, are the Aces done? Or they got something else up their sleeve? Like, are they building the Monstars for real? Or you think the roster that they have right now is staying put?
I mean, the moves that they've made right now, I don't think that they really need to do anything else. I think they addressed that lack of depth. They added the experience. They added Kayla George, they added Alicia Clark, Alexis Peterson. So you have players that are experienced that can address those issues. So I'm not sure if I haven't heard anything at least in the last 24 hours about the Aces making any moves. But yeah, I think that other teams now are trying to build their teams based off the players that are left in the free agency pool. And so we've seen Minnesota in the last 24 hours, Chicago and Seattle all make moves. And so yeah, I think that you just stay tuned and locked into what's up next.
Khristina basically told me, "What else do you want? What do you mean you want more, dog? Everything is okay. You guys have enough all-stars and MVPs. All right, we'll try not to be as greedy as possible. And we're not going to take up any more of your time. Khristina Williams joining us, creator, founder of Girls Talk Sports TV, WNBA Insider, MSG Networks. You see her @name on Twitter somewhere over here on her screen. Be sure to follow her, set the notifications for anything happening in WNBA free agency. Khristina, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Adrian. This was fun.
We'll do it again, love.